Chapter 2, School. Jenny took a moment to appraise the domestic situation. The unmade beds, the half-cleared breakfast table, her own room looking as if one of Georgia's more severe spring thunderstorms had raced through it, all demanded attention. But, time being limited, she focused on a more important agenda. After cleaning the table and storing all foodstuffs, she began by slipping into a fresh gray cotton frock, no small feat with the abundance of snaps and buttons which always challenged her patience. After a moment or two, she seized her satchel of books, unopened from yesterday's scholastic efforts, and started down the pasture path to the river trail, which would lead her upstream to the ferry. It was a shimmering, richly abundant morning. The sky shined brightly, radiating with energizing spring vapors. Wildflowers and plants pushed up from the earth, anxious to be about the business of life. Dew clung heavily to the delicate green slivers, untouched as yet by the sun's enerving rays. The rotting, criss-crossing split-rail fence laid by her father delineated the ruddy path to town. Mr. Stanhill, like many others, had fallen victim to the sharecropper's dilemma in earlier difficult years. Beholding to monopolistic merchants who controlled seed and supplies from their baronial stores, and forever frustrated by speculatively manipulated cotton prices, most farmers fell deeper and deeper into financial difficulty until finally foreclosed on by unmerciful opportunists. Mr. Stanhill chose to exonerate himself from debt by selling half of his family's 200-acre plot and managing the remainder of his heritage. Unable to succeed alone on the smaller farm, he had leased a portion of his property to a neighbor in exchange for a percentage of the crop. It galled him to fall into the hands of the greedy Cantrell family, Campbell County's local tyrants, but felt it best to confront difficulties head-on and press forward. Having taken a job with Mr. Fouts at the sawmill, he found the combined incomes produced had enabled them to press ahead and survive. Keeping his family's land, to the chagrin of the Cantrells, was one small source of satisfaction to the elder Stanhill. Jenny arrived at the county road and, deciding to save a few moments by cutting across the bottomlands, leaped up onto the dried wooden plankings of the fence. Naturally, the aging railing would choose this morning of all mornings to give way from its weather-worn fastenings and collapse into a rubbled heap. Bruised but not hurt, her cotton dress smudged with the sticky dust of morning dew, she collected her disheveled figure and, pausing just long enough to jerry-rig repairs to the open fencing, ran onward to the river. She returned a few minutes later after remembering her school books, which had fallen aside. She quickly gathered them and noted the admonishment from page 89 of her McDuffie reader, which informed her in bold-faced type from the tattered page, "'Tis good for men to love their present pain." Scowling, blue screen. Scowling, she commenced her journey again, racing to the river's edge, only to find the flat boards of a barge firmly secured on the other side of the river. Cussing, she glanced around for some sign of Slippr'y Joe Mold, the large red-headed cracker boy frequently found fishing along the river and dubiously paid a small pittance by the county to staff the ferry. Joe was always one to enjoy the plight of befuddled folks and prone to prankish gestures. Jenny felt sure she was under the watchful eye of the ferryman, no doubt hidden beneath the lush green overgrowth. Stubbornly, she grabbed the retaining rope and, with a great deal of useful exuberance, tugged a small barge across to her side. She boarded and began the crossing, now cognizant of the fact that a timely appearance at the schoolhouse was out of the question. Clearly tiring about halfway across, but struggling valiantly, she was relieved to note the barge pilot's appearance on shore. "Mornin', Miss Jenny," began the polite interlocutor. "I do believe it's going to be a lovely day, don't you think?" Repressing a tense verbal lashing, Jenny smiled and replied coyly, "I do hope so. There's one thing I despise, it's hauling barge rope in the rain. Don't you?" "Most certainly, Miss Jenny, most certainly," came the contemplative answer. "I reckon I despises it almost as much as being late for Master Stokes' school. How he goes on for such transmigrations." "Most certainly, Master Mold," mocked Jenny, "and I am most certainly late again this morning, no thanks to your thoughtful concern." Offering a hand to pull the young lady ashore, "I can't imagine what you was hinting at, Miss Jenny. You be accusing me of derelicting my duties after I done walked all the way down here to see if you'll be a-stopping to fish with us again this afternoon. You will be a-stopping to fish a spell, won't you?" he queried, hoping to divert attention from his wily ploy. "Can't say for sure," she began. "No doubt Mr. Stokes will hold me well into the night for this transgression. Who's to say what I'll have time for this day?" she lamented, already quickly pacing her steps to attack the long graded slope to town.